about making photographs, I think one of the things about making art in general that a lot of people don't think about is the physical component. And unlike, music is performed, so I can see, Rufus or other musicians, just that whole sheer physical energy going into it. We're doing that behind the scenes. And, and also we are exposing ourselves, like in photography, if you're still shooting film, to toxic chemistries and things like that. And so, I find that I'm moving, I'm lifting, I'm standing on tables, I'm sitting, and so there's a lot of, moving around. So I did make myself comfortable with my nice little stool, typical art department stool. So I'm just gonna be quiet, and I'm gonna
be quiet, and before we move on to our watch, as I watch you do your work.
Yeah, we'll just do it.
How has this place, Bar College of Simons Rock, the
my
riding cabin, 5 acres, James Weldon Johnson, Grace Nell Johnson. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. There are really no words to describe what it's like to be here. There's a whole, in fact, I'm kind of overrun with emotions about this residency. I mean, just the gift of time. It's one of the things that we all talked about, as the other fellows talked about, is that being in a creative process takes a lot of mental bandwidth, and most people who don't work in the creative process understand that it's a whole chunk of your head, and being given the gift of uninterrupted time, I've been here 2.5 weeks to work, is a gift I cannot even explain. It changes the way you work in the future. You learn things about your process. You take risks that you wouldn't usually take. And one of the reasons is when you're usually, I'm following Rufus right here. You take risks that you don't usually take because you're like, wow, I've got some time. I can try something here. Usually if I'm pressed for time, I know how to make a good photograph, and I find that I can become very formulaic in the way that I'm shooting, and then it gets stale and you lose your mojo and all that kind of stuff. So, but more than my own practice is what I've learned here is I have been exposed to an amazing group of men, African-American men, from the early 1900s that influenced American culture in a way that is incredibly profound, but yet their names are not on the tip of our tongue. We are singing their songs all the time, and yet we don't even know their names. And so the James Weldon Johnson Foundation is named after James Weldon Johnson, who wrote some of the most important music, American music.
Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Lift Every Voice and Sing, for example, is one. God's Trombones. And then he collaborated with his brother Rosamond and wrote songs that have appeared in 15 movies, including Do the Right Thing and Meet Me in St. Louis. And they collaborated with another man named Bob Cole in the early 1900s, and they wrote an enormous amount of music for Broadway, for vaudeville, for hymnals that we sing and we know and we recognize, and we don't know their names. And I am completely committed to bringing the work and the joy of the Johnson brothers to my work and to the general public, because we owe them a great debt. These men broke color barriers at a time when Jim Crow was being instituted and when the United States was really struggling and continues to struggle through this. And I think everybody should know the name James Weldon Johnson on the tip of their tongue, and I'm hoping my work does that.
Your photography.
I've been photographing his books.
We'll do that.
Yeah, I've been photographing his books, and I've been photographing Rosamond Johnson's sheet music. So we're going to be adding these guys to the lexicon of great American heroes.
Excellent. Thank you. So
let's take a photo. Interestingly enough, I'm not photographing a James Weldon Johnson book. I'm photographing a book by Lawrence Dunbar. And he was a contemporary of James Weldon Johnson and Rosamond Johnson. And this was a book that Jill Rosenberg Jones, one of the founders of the foundation, has given to me to photograph. And so the very last book that I'm doing on my residency, and then I leave tomorrow. So let's watch how we do it.
Excellent.
So what I'm going to do next here, and I can explain it a little bit, is I'm now going to turn this down so that I can increase the shutter speed, and then you can watch what I do to my books. And then that's how we get the pages to flutter, and I get that motion in the book.
Did you capture all of that, even
Yeah.
with the page coming up?
I'm focused at the very top, so I didn't see the page.
Awesome.
So
That's pretty cool.
it's
I didn't know the
pretty funny.
the wind blowing was a part of the
Yeah,
usual. That's a part of the.
it's the whole.
Your
Yeah, I get a
physical-
little winded here too sometimes. And this book is extremely fragile. Certainly needs some restoration. So one of the things we're going to do then is I'm going to lay it down, and I've got my little props that I make. There we go. Now I'm always looking for a page that'll stick up like that. And that's gorgeous. Okay, so stay. Sometimes I let it go until I get it all wound up. Yeah. There we go. That's the sweet spot. It can move for now. I am very particular about my compositions, and I do what I call micro-focusing, so that I know exactly where my point of focus is. And I want it in a particular spot. And then I'll do it in a couple of different ratios just to see what I can get. Knocked it. Yes. Okay, that's the magic.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah. You want to see that one?
Sure.
It won't come up on your All right, there you go. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just perfect. It's just perfect. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God! Look at that. The magic of photography.
Yeah. Magic of photography.
So I want to thank you and Jill. Thank you. Okay.
Well done.